has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible, hanging out the bad seed, the broken in the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh, people dressed in plastic bags, to reps in traffic, some kind of fashion check it up, yeah. Woo, woo, woo. Along with the Tutty and Tater King himself, the founder of the LC podcast, rights holder of the Sheet of Integrity, and the Put It With the Golf guru, especially on the week of the Open Championship at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland. Carver, hi this afternoon, ladies. Mafia is running it along with Luke. I am the father. The rundown on a Misery Monday. Bill Bender from the Sporting News to talk college football joins us this very hour in the second hour. Scoop Mish. Craig Mish from Newswire joins us. And then in the walls of that same hour, a double shot with Coach Young, our basketball analyst on SportsGrid. And what a weekend it was as the Major League season hit the All-Star break. The Home Run Derby is tonight in Hot Town, Atlanta. They had the draft yesterday in baseball. So much more going on. Sinner a winner at +2 bills over Alcatraz. Your boy Carlos Alcaraz in the final on the men's side at the All England Lawn and Tennis yesterday. I watched the last 3 sets where he kicked his ass, bottom line. And then he got everything going on. Summer League tonight. There's action, and Taters will be flying at the Truist.
Yeah, happy Monday.
Yes, sir.
Here on Coast to Coast. It's one of our favorite weeks of the year, right? I mean, this is it. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. It's the All-Star break for Major League Baseball. It is the Open Championship, as you mentioned, Royal Portrush, the 153rd edition of the Open Championship, or as we'll always call it, Scotty, the British Open.
Yeah.
What it should always be called as, the British Open. And by the way, I will tell you, we did put together the Ferrall Coast to Coast Open Championship preview show earlier today. Myself, the Prime Minister, Stewie, Keith Stewart, and Brady Cannon, Las Vegas golfer, all 4 of us. The quad box for the Coast to Coast Open Championship preview show, which will air a bunch over the next couple of days, getting you ready for that. So we have that as well this week, which is makes the week nice. But yes, you're right. We're at the All-Star break. And you know what else? Enough with all these records. You've seen all these, right? All these before the All-Star break. They played like 15 more games than the usual All-Star break this year because they started at the end of March. These teams have played 93, 94, 95 games already this year. We can chill with the records at the All-Star break that all of these guys had. Like Raleigh finished with 38 homers. He played like 12 more games than Bonds did the year that he had 39 at the All-Star break. There you go. A little soapbox for you, Scotty.
Yeah,
here to start the week.
Bonds didn't do anything wrong when he played.
No, that was as clean as a whistle that year that Bonds hit the 39 homers before the All-Star break and eventually into the 70s. We've reached it. Lots of taters tonight because it is the Home Run Derby. I know it's kind of a hokey-jokey event, whatever, but I mean, look, I'll be into it a little bit, Scotty, because I've gotten so into the home runs. And I feel like I know these 8 gentlemen so well with how much that we bet on them that I feel like I'm, like last year with Teoscar Hernandez when we got him at the Home Run Derby. I feel really good about tonight in terms of the couple guys that we've got zeroed in on for later. And to hit some long balls and hopefully have some fun and it goes the right way. Because if it doesn't, then it's just going to be a waste of a night.
I'll tell you what, the biggest surprise for me going into the break and to the festivities in Atlanta was the Seattle sweep in Detroit. Wow. That was impressive. They went into Comerica this weekend, and not only did they sweep, but they I mean, they really beat them badly. They put up a ton of runs. I mean, it was one after the next. All the games, the home runs, the hits. They pounded the Tigers into submission. What did that say to you? Because I think a lot of people thought, going into it, that the Tigers were the best team in baseball.
Yeah, they scored 35 runs over the 3 games against the Tigers. And remember, Skubal pitched one of those games, too, on Friday night. So it wasn't even like they missed Skubal. They got Skubal in the 3 games, and they still scored 35 runs. Look, I thought it was very impressive from them. And if they could score runs like that throughout the rest of this season and in the second half, they're going to be a problem because they can pitch. And now they go into the break, into the 3rd wild card slot. They've won, of course, 3 in a row after that sweep, 6 of their last 10 going in. They're 51-45, and a game and a half up on Tampa for the last spot. And Boston won 10 in a row going into the break. And they now have the second wild card spot as they smash the Rays all weekend at Fenway Park. So impressive for Seattle, impressive for Boston, who now both have 2 of those 3 slots in the AL.
That was a 1-1 game yesterday until it wasn't. And then it was 4-1, and you knew it was lights out because they have Chapman, who mowed through 3 guys in the 9th. He's been incredible. And the fact that they won 10 in a row, and really, at the end of the day, they're still in 3rd place. That's amazing to me. If you look at the AL East, how good all the teams are and how good their records are, that's crazy. And, you usually, gain more ground, if you ask me, if you win 10 games in a row, and they really didn't. But they're a tough customer. I'll give them credit. They have played fantastic baseball, and then over the weekend they got Bregman back, and all that talk of trading Bregman is nonsense. They're not trading him. They're going to figure out a way to keep him in Boston. In fact, they gave Devers away. That's why, because Bregman's their guy. That's the choice. They're not going to tolerate the insubordination that they feel Devers was showing on all fronts. And they got rid of him and sent him to the Giants. And it hasn't worked out so far at all in San Francisco. Not only that, they just lost that series in extra innings to the Dodgers, who finally got off of their schneid on Saturday. They won, and then Sunday they won in extra innings.
They did. So we'll do lots of baseball today, of course, with the All-Star break hitting. We'll do some of the draft as well. Leave it to the Nationals. Everyone thought they were either going to take that pitcher from LSU or Holiday's kid. It didn't take either of them. They took some high school shortstop with the 1st overall pick. So the Nationals, very surprising at the MLB draft. We'll go through that. You've got lots of Summer League, like you mentioned. We have one afternoon game. When we come back from the break, I'll give you the numbers for that before we start it off. Did you watch a lot of the Summer League this weekend? Because I saw a little bit of Flag when he dropped the 31 on Saturday, and then they said, we've seen enough. He's not going to play anymore. That's it for him.
I gotta tell you, I understand what they're doing, and I just don't like it. I mean, this kid is built to ball. He's all about balling. I think every day. And, he played. He had a 10-6-4, and the world ended. I didn't know if you noticed that. The world stopped spinning on its axis because he didn't have a huge game, and he shot 5 of 21 from the floor. But then the guy turns around and busts off a 31 piece and lights it up and does it all. I mean, he had the whole bag out and has an incredible game, and then they shut him down for the rest of the Summer League. That's stale bread. I would have let him play if that was my team. This kid's here to play. He's not here to be babied, which is exactly what they're doing to him. Putting him in the cupboard, what good does that do him? Honestly, this guy can play every day. I mean, can you imagine telling this kid, if he showed up at a pickup run, he couldn't play? You play too much. Why don't you just sit down and rest? Guys that play ball want to play ball. I'm playing tonight. I think the kid wants to play ball.
Here's a tip for my fellow golfers and gamers. Do you want to book a golf trip to Vegas? For the best weather, aim for spring and fall. But the best prices, aim for summer and winter. But if you're looking for that sweet spot, try June. You get the August prices without that scorching heat. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
So usually we would have Morency on in the second segment of the first hour and the third segment of the first hour of Coast to Coast on a daily basis. Of course, over the weekend, Morency got married to the lovely Tanya at Kelowna, British Columbia. I don't know if you happened to see the happy couple. Your boy Morency styling in the tuxedo, and Tanya looking elegant and radiant in her wedding dress on the golf course. The photos from the wedding were spectacular, and it looked beautiful in Kelowna. And our congratulations to Morency and Tanya for their nuptials on Saturday in BC. I'm glad they're happy. They looked fantastic. And like they were just having the time of their life. And he even said, Carver High, I don't know if you noticed, he did say it was the greatest day of his life. I thought, and I think that's incredible. I have to say that the 5 Penguin Stanley Cups were way better than my wedding. I just wanted to say that. I'm just saying, if he was honest, he said it was the greatest day of his life. It wasn't the greatest day of my life. I thought it was fantastic. It was utterly unequaled that day, clearly. And I've been with her 24 years, but there's no way. It also, the birth of my children did not supersede the Penguins winning 5 Stanley Cups or the Steelers 6 Super Bowls. I cannot say with honesty that any of those things, nuptials or the birth of children, would surpass my sports fandom and euphoria.
Yeah, I did see the pictures this weekend. Gabe put a lot of pictures up on X, and he was tweeting about some things that happened at the wedding, and he looked like he had a great time, him and his bride. And I guess he'll be back, I guess tomorrow or Wednesday?
Tomorrow.
I guess Gabe will be back. Tomorrow he'll be back, and he'll tell you all about it. The only sports-related thing I remember from my wedding was when we got married, and this is now 11 years. I guess I'll be married in September. The week we went on the honeymoon right away, which was the week right after. We got married on, I guess, Friday. We went on the honeymoon on Sunday.
Right.
That week, we had tickets, because we had Yankee tickets back then, to Jeter's last game ever at Yankee Stadium, the year he retired, which was in 2014. And, of course, we had to give those up. So I missed Jeter's last game at Yankee Stadium for the honeymoon. We went.
Yeah, that's just that's a fail.
So that's
in general.
That was had the tickets.
I went to this 3,000 hit game where he had the 5 hits.
Oh, I remember. Never forget that game because I remember working. I was at the Fan then, and I was just cutting tape at WFAN the day that Jeter had his 3,000th hit, the homer off the kid, and I must have had your old buddy, the Schmoozer, asked for like 6,000 different audio cuts of the Jeter 3,000th hit, like 6,000 times.
So that was... I have to tell you a story real quick before we get into anything here with the Summer League, which is so important, as you know. So last night, I'm watching I have never been able to tap into my Yankee fandom with my son, okay? And my daughter could care less about baseball or any team at all, just in sports. She just doesn't care. But he's a gigantic Pirate fan and Thunder fan and Steeler fan, etc. So he's always been like, you're a communist because you like the Yankees and the Pirates. He's like, you don't love the Pirates. You root for the Yankees and the Pirates. That's like having two wives. And I was like, I've never been able to explain it to him. I said that since I've been a little kid, and I told you the story, Carver. I used to love the Yankees with Mickey Rivers and Billy Martin and Reggie Jackson and Goose Gossage and Greg Nettles and Thurman Munson, and it goes on and on and on. But last night I was able to finally find a vein. I got the injected vein when I watched Southpaw, the story of Jim Abbott and his no-hitter with the Yankees with one hand. Of course, you and I knew that Jim Abbott was a great pitcher at Michigan and with the Angels and never lived up to it with the Yankees. But on one day, September 4th of 2013, I think, was it? No, 90.
No,
93. 93,
Yeah,
96, they won the title, 93. So September 4th of 93, he threw the no-hitter at Yankee Stadium, and it was absolutely unbelievable. Some of the plays that were made by Boggs at third, etc. But when you watch this guy throwing a no-hitter with one hand, and then what he did for every person on earth that had the same condition or deformity or a handicap, missing a limb, a hand, an arm, a leg, a foot, what he did for those people, kids, little kids, he met every one of them. He wrote letters to every one of them and sent pictures to every one of them over the years. And to see what it did to him as a person and the person that it made him, the man that it made him, it had nothing to do with baseball. It had nothing to do with throwing a no-hitter. It had to do with he was a one-of-a-kind generational person. What he did for anyone with a handicap, and it broke Gunner. It broke him. And he said to me, now I know why you're a Yankee fan. And I was like, I can go to bed finally at peace with no weight on my shoulder, Carver High. And those moments, like Bubba Wells, like David Cohn, watching Jim Abbott, watching that stuff happen at Yankee Stadium, and Mafia's rolling his eyes right now. He just hates me. Watching that stuff happen in the Bronx, there is nothing like it in baseball at all. And that includes those communist Dodgers and that stupid Dodger Stadium with those delicious Dodger dogs.
Yeah, the Dodger dogs. You can't. That's a great job. And I saw Jim. He was, I guess, on in the Yes broadcast, one of the games last week, promoting it, that was going to be on.
Did you watch it?
Still, I have not seen it yet. I have to see it. I have to watch the Jim
It's a tearjerker, Carver High.
Here's a tip for my fellow golfers and gamers. Do you want to book a golf trip to Vegas? For the best weather, aim for spring and fall. But the best prices, aim for summer and winter. But if you're looking for that sweet spot, try June. You get the August prices without that scorching heat. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Let's get this straight. At the old Yankee Stadium, how many no-hitters, Carver High? Total 10?
10 total.
And then 3 perfect games at Yankee Stadium, which were David Cohn, Bubba Wells, and Don Larson. And those were 3 perfect games. Herman threw his perfect game at Oakland at the Ashtray. So
correct.
When you go back to let's face it, when you go back to the no-hitters, the last 2 before Wells and Cohn, which would be the last 2 there, those were perfect games. The last 2 were Gooden in 96 and the 93 Abbott no-hitter. And
correct.
I mean, it's like there's something about it, because we already knew he was a great pitcher, as I said before. It's just that you just can't even make it up. It was fairy tale stuff that some guys out there with one hand throwing a no-hitter. And you know what the creepy thing about it is that he was a great fielder with one hand. I mean, tell me that guy didn't make plays with that one arm of his, that left arm. He'd catch it, snap it off onto the stub, and then he'd throw it with his left hand over to first or second. He made plays all the time. The guy was actually a great fielding pitcher for a guy with one arm. I mean, let's face it, he was missing a hand. He couldn't use a glove. He threw the glove on a stub. It was unbelievable. And I'll never forget watching it when it happened. I remember bawling when it happened. And I think it's the reason, I always get so emotional about the Yankees. There's something about them. I think it's no different than the Montreal Canadiens with as many as they've won in the Stanley Cup. When you're talking about 27 world championships, it's just surreal what they've accomplished. And then the guys that have done those special types of things makes it stand out even more, whether you like them or not.
That's it. Those are special moments. That's for sure. And I got to watch this now.
You got to watch
this Abbott thing. I'm going to have to find time with not a lot of games the next few nights.
It goes way beyond the no-hitter. It's about who he is as a person, of what he did for people that had the same type of situation he had. Like, he changed lives for the rest of their lives. Like, you see these people as children, and then they show them as full-blown adults years later, and they're pulling out all these letters that he sent him, Abbott, and they're all bawling, and then eventually you just start gushing. I mean, it is literally. I mean, you might as well be on Golden Pond in this movie because you're just gushing. I mean, this E60 was maybe the best one I've ever seen. It's very emotional. You're gonna need a whole box of Kleenex, automatic.
And I was looking to see there. Obviously, no Yankee has thrown a no-hitter at the new Yankee Stadium, which opened in 2009. But there was one I had forgotten about. In 2022, the Astros had Christian Javier 7 innings, Neris 1 inning, Presley 1 inning, a combined no-hitter against the Yankees. And they actually had the last no-hitter at the old Yankee Stadium as well, because the Astros had a combined no-hitter in 2003.
Cheated.
Against the Yankees at the old stadium, which was 7 pitchers, still set the record for tied the most pitchers used
Cheaters.
in a no-hitter. But when you have more than one guy throw a no-hitter on coast to coast, just like we don't recognize the name of the new Steelers Stadium or the name of whatever the White Sox call Comiskey Park now, we don't recognize no-hitters that are done by more than one pitcher. We don't recognize them.
Or we don't recognize teams that throw them that we hate that cheat.
That's true, too. We don't recognize those. So the Astro no-hitter in 2022 at the new Yankee Stadium doesn't count.
We hope the whole team gets RIA, actually, Friday when they start the second half, that they get a stomach virus and everyone gets RIA.
One summer league game in the afternoon. The rest are all after we leave at 6 o'clock, and that's the Hawks minus 4.5 against the Rockets. I believe that's at 4:30 East. So an hour from now, you can start watching that.
The Hawks never lose.
The Hawks never lose. And what was the nickname for your boy on the Rockets? I've got it down later in the show. What are they calling the kid? Oh, the Big Tariff?
The Big Tariff.
Hanson Yang? That's a great name for him.
That's the greatest nickname ever, the Big Tariff.
Hanson Yang.
Hanson Yang. And did you see his numbers? The guy,
he's playing. He's balling. He's balling. He's in the mix. So you have that coming up later. We will start and rip through all the baseball from the weekend, and then we'll get into the home run derby later.
I say, you crank that Soldier Boy, right? You Darvish back on the mound. Haven't seen this guy in a minute right now. Yeah, man, crank it, man. Get it going up. Hit the high. Yeah, let's go. Crank that Soldier Boy up here. Yep. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. That was big back then. Where were you? Senior high school? Or maybe even in grade school then?
Bar mitzvah slate. In the bar mitzvah slate each and every weekend. The young Benny Steve was out there hitting it.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Do they practice in a public park? And Ferrall and Lodge said, no, they have a little facility, but it's open to the public. No, it's a public park. Like, it basically, like, there's like kids playing basketball, like,
yeah,
no, it's bad. I looked, I'm like, dear God, like, I thought, I'm like, man, I bet a lot of money on these guys. I can't believe this is where they practice. Like,
yeah.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Scrounge out a couple of quarters from under the couch to go trade for somebody who actually makes some money. I don't think that he would actually do that. That's not in Hal's style the last couple of years, especially in season. I saw they signed that Heimer Candelario, who the Reds released. That's more their style, going the discount aisle as opposed to trading for someone who's actually having a huge year like Suarez.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Would be looking to get him in dynasty or keeper leagues. If I'm out of a league and I'm looking to rebuild for the next years ahead, that's where I'm looking. Yuri Perez is a special young pitcher that we're going to be talking about in that Paul Skeens, in that Tariq Skubal, in that grouping of guys. I think he can be that good. He's only 22 years old. He's the boy. So you're getting a situation here where Yuri Perez eventually is going to grow into that man of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Big Tariff plays for the Blazers, and he's playing with your boy Klingon, the Klingon, and they got 2 7-footers now on that team. It'll be fun to watch. Han Sen Yang, the Big Tariff, playing this year. You were thinking of Yao Ming, apparently. He was another one from China. And allegedly, they cut a tariff deal. They did cut a trade deal with China, I think, over maybe Friday or Saturday. They finally allegedly got that done.
That's good to hear. I'm glad that they were able to square that all away. All right, I got lots of baseball for the weekend. Let's go. The Cubs beat the Yankees 4-1 on Sunday. They got things off early, let's just say. In fact, how about the first batter of the game? Your boy, Michael Busch Beer on Marquee Network.
You like that combination of on-base plus slug at the top of the batting order.
Swing and a high fly ball out towards right center field. That one back. That one is gone. Home run from the leadoff hitter, Michael Busch. And it's 1-0. And they're fired up in the Cub dugout.
Boog Shambi with the call on Marquee.
Yeah, the Yankee offense got kind of sleepy Saturday and Sunday against the Cubs, right? Boyd completely mowed him down on Saturday. And then Imanaga, 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 6 Ks on Sunday. So not a good
pitches well for a little guy. I mean, he's a small guy out on the mound, and I'm just blown away by his stuff. Like, he's got real numbers. I know he's had injuries and whatever, but he can pitch.
He certainly can. A few other things from the Yankees over the weekend. Bellinger had a 3-homer game Friday night against his old team. First time playing the Cubs, he had 3 homers against them, and he almost had a 4th. That was a hell of a catch. I guess that was PCA out on the first row, or else he would have had 4 homers. It was Tucker. That's right. There you go. Tucker in right. Nice job, Luke. Aaron Judge hit his 350th career homer on Saturday. He became the fastest player ever to reach 350 homers. He did it in just 1,088 games. The previous fastest was McGuire in 1,280. So, quite the pace.
On the premium, lad. He was on the premium, too.
He was on probably if there's even something above the premium, he was probably on synthetic. That. Like super high octane synthetic is what McGuire was on. Max Fried has a blister issue. Now, he wasn't going to pitch in the game tomorrow night anyway, but he says it's getting better. Now, we'll see if he can go after the All-Star break, hopefully.
Who doesn't have blisters?
It was kind of a tough end of the first half for the Yankees. I think only way that we could do that today is to get the summation of the first half and the Yankee season so far at the break from manager Aaron Boone.
Incomplete.
What do you mean?
There's been a lot of good. There's obviously been 2 weeks where we really struggled. But, we set out in spring training and the start of the year.
A month and a half.
To get back to the playoffs and go chase after a world title. That's and all those hopes and dreams are right there and still exist for us. So if nothing else, we've put ourselves in a position to be that is something that is attainable for us. So it's a long way to go still. We got to keep getting better.
Long way to go.
But we're in position to do what we need to do, and hopefully, after today, these 4 days in the physical and mental grind of a long season, hopefully there's that positive reset for some guys to get a breather, to get a blow, and come with that hyper focus of understanding what our mission is.
Yeah, so sure. He's always Mr. PR, positive spin, etc. At the end of the day, he's never got it done. That's just all there is to it. So they don't win it. And I got to be honest with you, there's no way I think that team's winning the World Series right now. I got to tell you at the break, they're just, in my view, they are not one. They're not the one. You know what I mean? There's only one, and it's not them. They're beatable. They're very beatable. And, when they play good teams, they lose. That's just all there is to it, right? Like, there's no other way of looking at it. They're not even, in my view, they're not even I don't think they're capable of getting back to the World Series, to be honest with you. I don't see them winning a pennant. I really don't.
You're not going to get any kind of disagreement out of me with any of that, because you know how I feel. I don't think that they're anywhere even close to being near some of these other teams. And they're going kind of in one direction, and the Red Sox going into the break are going in another. They beat the Rays 4-1 yesterday, so they swept the 4 games with the Rays. More importantly for them, they've won 10 in a row. They've actually got the same amount of wins as the Yankees now going into the All-Star break, but they've played 2 more games, so they have 2 more losses. This Rafala, he has been smoking hot. Of course, Scotty, he homered on Friday. I didn't play him. I did play him Saturday. He didn't homer. I didn't play him on Sunday. And what did he do? What do you think on Nesson?
And Pepio with a 3-2. Swinging a high fly ball into left field, driving back Mangum. He's turning around. That is up there. That is gone. It's gone. It's a home run. He hit another one out. The Red Sox lead it 4-1. Say Don Rafaela.
Well, you know, the thing that gets me here is that he's played great. Bayo has really, I think, pitched great. He had a complete game to start before that and a win. And then he goes out and wins this one. He's been pitching his ass off. And the thing is, what this told me more than anything else is that Tampa Bay's in trouble. That's what it told me, because the Red Sox beat them every which way but loose, including a 1-0 game, right, on Saturday or whatever. So here's the deal. Like, they have, you expressed this last week. They literally play 25 of 30 on the road coming out of the break. And that is insanity because of the fact that they don't have a ballpark in Tampa, that they're playing in Steinbrenner Field, a minor league ballpark of the Yankees, and they played all those early season games at home, and now they're going on the road. And they're going to go on the road nonstop. And what did they do before the break? All they did was lose. I mean, they lost going out for a week and a half, Mike, and now they're going to come out and play 25 and 30 on the road. And don't tell me, you know, sometimes I'll agree that a road trip can help a team and they get down to business on the road. They're, you know, together in the hotel. They go to the ballpark. They win games, and it's all seriousness. When they're at home, they got to deal with their families, their kids. They're at home in their own bed, all this other stuff. It's too easy. On the road, they're focused, but not when you're on the road for a month straight, like the Spurs when they do that, or when the Knicks have the circus in town and they leave for a month. I think a month-long road trip, in my view, will kill Tampa Bay. And what that does is opens the door, Red Sox, and they've already caught the Yankees. So you talk about the Yankees going to the World Series or being the best team in the American League. I think they're actually far from it.
No question there. Also for the Sox, Garrett, don't call me Davy Crockett. My name's Crochet. First complete game shutout of his career on Saturday in their win. They did lose pitcher Hunter Dobbins. He just came back Friday night. Now he's done for the year with a torn ACL. So not a good scene for Dobbins. But the Red Sox, they continue to roll 10 straight. And the Red Sox out of the break, Scotty, they'll have that winning streak going into Wrigley Friday. Red Sox Cubs starts the second half with the businessman special Friday afternoon for Boston and Chicago. So that'll be the first game out of the break.
Do you believe that they can stay hot after 4 days off and then go on the road to Wrigley and start it up again? I don't.
I don't either. I think that, and sometimes when you get hot like this, the worst thing you want to do is take a bunch of days off and not play. Taking 4 days off and all going to Aruba and all-star games and all over the place.
Rum runners, drinking.
I say, you crank that soldier boy, right? You Darvish back on the mound. Haven't seen this guy in a minute right now. Yeah, man, crank it, man. Get it going up. Hit the high. Yeah, let's go. Crank that soldier boy up here. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. That was big back then. Where were you? Senior high school? Or maybe even in grade school?
Bar mitzvah slate. in the bar mitzvah slate each and every weekend. The young Benny Steve was out there hitting.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
So they practice in a public park. And Farrell and Lodge said, no, they have a little facility, but it's open to the public. No, it's a public park. Like, it basically, like, there's like kids playing basketball, like, yeah, no, it's bad. I looked, I'm like, dear God, like, I thought, I'm like, man, I bet a lot of money on these guys. I can't believe this is where they practice. Like, yeah.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Scrounge out a couple of quarters from under the couch to go trade for somebody who actually makes some money. I don't think that he would actually do that. That's not in Hal's style the last couple of years, especially in season. I saw they signed that Heimer Candelario, who the Reds released. That's more their style, going the discount aisle as opposed to trading for someone who's actually having a huge year like Suarez.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Looking to get him in dynasty or keeper leagues. If I'm out of a league and I'm looking to rebuild for the next years ahead, that's where I'm looking. Yuri Perez is a special young pitcher that we're going to be talking about in that Paul Skeens, in that Tariq Skubal, in that grouping of guys. I think he can be that good. He's only 22 years old. He's the boy. So you're getting a situation here where Yuri Perez eventually is going to grow into that man of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
We always like having Bill Bender of the Sporting News on to talk college football. You can follow him on X at BillBender92. He's coming off some kind of massive, I think, lacrosse tournament this weekend. There was heavy gambling going on from the parents in the crowd at this event. I don't know what happened. Things got out of hand. They were betting. People were drinking. The kids were trying to play lacrosse, and these parents ruin everything.
Scott, it was fun. We had 14, 15-year-old boys. Good hard weekend, good hard lacrosse in Hershey, Pennsylvania. The boys played well. There was a couple close to fights, but not between the parents, but with the kids. But, we kept our heads, and the boys played good. And I'll tell you, it's a fun sport to watch for somebody who just picked it up.
Yeah, I know a lot of my friends have kids that play lacrosse on the girls' and boys' side. It's enormous in the East Coast. I mean, people don't realize how big it's gotten. I think that, when they see it now, it's on, TV a lot now. There's a lot of pro lacrosse and there's college lacrosse on TV now. And I just, for the sake of adding it, high school lacrosse is enormous in the Northeast.
Yeah, and my son plays goalie and my daughter plays midfield, so they're different positions. It's fun. For all the goalie parents out there, it is tough. That's a hard one to watch when kids are throwing a ball, 70, 80 miles an hour at your son, and he's trying to block it. I always make the comparison. It's like playing catcher, but they're not throwing at the glove. They're throwing everywhere but the glove, and we respect what he does. But it's one of those sports we enjoy a lot, and we'll continue to do.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends that their kids are going big-time D1 lacrosse. I know one that's going to Clemson to play, and they mean business. And I know this place where they train them as well. And I went there. It's a combination basketball and lacrosse training facility that's amazing. And some of the best basketball players like Dylan Harper trained there. And then there was on the other side of the wall, they train lacrosse players. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Let's talk college football. The SEC Media Week is going on. I know you were talking about it today with Scoot Mish. Talk to us about it. You talk about how everything always goes through Athens or Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I mean, this conference is going to be really interesting. I think when the media pool comes out, and whether it's Georgia or Texas in first, I don't think there's going to be a big gap between the two. And I'm wondering, Scott, if we're getting lost a little bit with Arch Manning and the hype that comes with him, and forgetting that Georgia won both of those games last year and won one in Athens, then won the SEC championship. Then they get Georgia or Texas at home on November 15th, and they should have their feet under their ground. I do think those are the two most talented teams in the conference, and either one would be a good bet. But, Alabama's just, every day I think about it a little bit more, I'm reminded they have a ton of talent. They have a friendlier schedule than both of those schools, and they absolutely could have get in the mix in year 2 with Kalen DeBoer.
Have you ever seen a game like that, Arizona State, Texas game? That was really, I thought, the best game in college football last year.
Well, yeah, and it saved on a 4th down pass that really tilted the perception of the Big 12 and of the SEC and Texas for Quinn Ewers to make that throw. Now, another point I was making this morning was Texas and Georgia had 25 players drafted between the two schools. And we can talk about reload, not rebuild all we want, but it's tough when you lose that many players. And Texas, here we are, they're going to come up to Ohio State on August 30th. Huge game in the shoe. Arch Manning's going in there. If they win that game, there is no stopping the hype around the Longhorns the rest of the season. If they lose, it puts them one step behind as they get into SEC play against all those other playoff contenders, which we have 10 schools ranked in Sporting News Post-Spring's Top 25.
So let's talk about this kid, Lenoris Sellers. I've been hearing more and more about him. And then he's, now one of the top-ranked quarterbacks in the country going into this season. I even heard people saying today that he could end up doing phenomenal things down in Columbia. Are you buying all that?
Shane Beamer was talking today about how they were this close to making the college football playoff last year. And Lenoris Sellers was a huge part of that. I think he's a guy that could absolutely make a difference. He can run, he can pass, great dual threat quarterback. And, the thing is their schedule's friendly too. So he played well in big games. There's a lot of Heisman hype around him. If it's not him, it's Lagway. If it's not him, it's Arch. There are a lot of options at quarterback that could play very well in the SEC this season.
And what about Nussmeier? Is he ever going to live up to the hype at Baton Rouge?
Well, what is the hype? I think he's a solid quarterback. I think he threw a couple interceptions last year, but closed the season very strong. Over 307 yards in their last 3 games. Brian Kelly was out there today talking about how this talent level is the best they've had since he's been there at LSU. Absolute chance to make the college football playoff with this team. And Garrett Nussmeier, if he plays well, he could squeak into that conversation. I don't know how you feel about him, Scott, but I absolutely think he could be maybe a late first round, possibly early day 2 pick. He's got to cut down on the turnovers, but he is one of the top returners in the conference.
So when you saw this story rear its ugly head again over the weekend about the sign stealing scandal in Ann Arbor, what did you think of Connor Stalions talking about it? And basically, we already knew he did it, but he pinpointed the games that he did it in.
Yeah, I wonder what the fallout will be and what the punishment will be. But, if I'm Michigan, I'm kind of hoping he stays quiet, which he hasn't, because it's one thing after another. The only thing I want to know from this investigation, the most egregious thing I've seen from the whole thing, was that he was on that Central Michigan sideline in a disguise, and that nobody's come out and said 100% factually, Scott, that was him. We're not stupid. We have 2 eyes. And I just, how that happened at a major college football game, when you and I know, you go to the press box, they have everybody's name on there. You have to check in. And I thought that was absolutely him.
The next time Bill's on the show, Mafia is now suggesting in my ear that we put him in goal and we all fire 80-mile-an-hour lacrosse balls at him for the entire segment. So he's considering saying no to that option.
I say, you crank that soldier boy, right? You Darvish back on the mound. Haven't seen this guy in a minute right now. Yeah, man, crank it, man. Get it going up. Hit the high. Yeah, let's go. Crank that soldier boy up here. Yep. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. That was big back then. Where were you? Senior high school? Or maybe even in grade school then?
Bar mitzvah slate. In the bar mitzvah slate each and every weekend, the young Benny Steve was out there hitting it.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Do they practice in a public park? And Ferrall and Lodge said, no, they have a little facility, but it's open to the public. No, it's a public park. Like, it basically, like, there's like kids playing basketball, like, yeah, no, it's bad. I looked, I'm like, dear God, like, I thought, I'm like, man, I bet a lot of money on these guys. I can't believe this is where they practice. Like, yeah.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Scrounge out a couple of quarters from under the couch to go trade for somebody who actually makes some money. I don't think that he would actually do that. That's not in Hal's style the last couple of years, especially in season. I saw they signed that Heimer Candelario, who the Reds released. That's more their style, going the discount aisle as opposed to trading for someone who's actually having a huge year like Suarez.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I would be looking to get him in dynasty or keeper leagues. If I'm out of a league and I'm looking to rebuild for the next years ahead, that's where I'm looking. Yuri Perez is a special young pitcher that we're going to be talking about in that Paul Skeens, in that Tariq Skubal, in that grouping of guys. I think he can be that good. He's only 22 years old. He's the boy. So you're getting a situation here where Yuri Perez eventually is going to grow into that man of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, so let's start busting off the rest of these baseball games that went down before the break happened.
Yeah, let's rip through a few of these others. We mentioned at the top of the show what a great weekend it was for the Mariners in Detroit, scoring 35 runs in a 3-game sweep of the Tigers, most runs they've scored in a 3-game series since 2002. In the 9th inning of yesterday's game, tied at 4 in the top of the 9th, the Mariners would bust off 4 more. Jorge Polanco got him started on Root Sports.
And that one is deep to right field and going in a hurry. A little bat flip, and Jorge and the Mariners have retaken the lead here as the struggles continue for Tommy Kahnle.
So I had a ticket yesterday on that game. I had a ticket on the 15-run game on the over. So I cashed twice over the weekend with Seattle against Detroit.
Nice job with that one. Cal Raleigh had 2 homers on Friday night. Goes into the All-Star break with 38 homers, second most ever going into the All-Star game behind Bonds, who had 39 in 2001. But as we discussed earlier, he's also played a lot more games going into the All-Star break than Bonds did that year.
Or you could mention that Bonds cheated the whole time
on the gas.
He did it. So,
so
there's 2 ways of looking
on the
at
gas.
it.
There certainly is.
No one recognizes his home runs. They just don't. They don't credit him. They don't count. They won't put him in the Hall of Fame. They just know he was a cheater and a liar. And the bottom line is, now he's trying to be this nice guy. And let's face facts: his dad and young Barry, their entire career, both of them were asshats. I mean, like in the biggest way possible. His dad was a jerk, and Barry was worse. I mean, he hated everyone. He was the most impossible major league player ever to deal with. I mean, I think he was the biggest P in the history of the sport. I mean, like, everyone hated his guts. And now he's trying to be this nice guy, and he's smiling and shaking hands and kissing babies and riding Tour de France bikes with his tight, French outfit on. It's not working. No one forgets when you're an asshat.
Nobody does forget that ever. Really good finish to the first half for the Marlins, right? Played pretty good baseball over the last couple of weeks, especially on the road. They take 2 out of 3 in Baltimore against the Orioles, 11-1 on Sunday, and what a day for former Oriole Kyle Stowers. Of course, last year, Scotty, the Orioles traded Stowers to Miami to get Trevor Rogers, who pitched against them on Saturday. Stowers went 5 for 5, 3 homers and 6 RBIs on Sunday, the third one on Marlins radio.
2-2 from Young. Stowers hits one high and deep right again. Did he do it again? Oh, yeah, he did. The King of Baltimore, Kyle Stowers. Remember him? A 3-homer day. That's sending the All-Star to Atlanta in style. 2-run shot. 7-0 Fish in the top of the 5th.
Those stinky fish. I had him yesterday on a ticket, and it was 7-0, and I was counting money. He had a great game, 11 total bases, I think, on top of his 6 RBIs and 3 home runs. 11 bases, this guy.
Yeah, tremendous, and we love him. He's been very good to us, Kyle, in the first half during Tater time, and he did that again yesterday. Reds beat the Rockies 4-2. Francona becomes the 13th manager to win 2,000 games in the majors. Cleveland beat the White Sox 6-5 in 10 innings. The Royals did beat the Mets 3-2. They walked it off after the Mets had tied it in the top of the ninth. The Royals then walked it off in the bottom half. So the Mets go into the break off a loss. Lindor became the third shortstop in Major League history with 200 homers, 200 steals. Soto's not going to Atlanta. In his last 40 games, though, Scotty, 326, 1164 slug OPS, 15 homers, 31 RBIs, 5 doubles. Soto over the last 40, incredible numbers.
It's criminal that he's not at the All-Star game. It's actually embarrassing for baseball. They cannot have a guy with those types of numbers not at the All-Star game. That's just laughable.
Edwin Diaz is one of the rare NL pitchers who didn't skip out on the game. He's allowed 1 run since 422, 28 innings, 13 hits, 1 earned run, 40 Ks, 13 saves. Edwin Diaz hot going into Atlanta for the All-Star.
My God. Giving up absolutely nothing. He is so valuable for them.
I say, you crank that Soldier Boy, right? You Darvish back on the mound. Haven't seen this guy in a minute right now. Yeah, man, crank it, man. Get it going up. Get the high. Yeah, let's go. Crank that Soldier Boy up here. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. That was big back then. Where were you? Senior high school? Or maybe even in grade school?
Bar mitzvah slate. In the bar mitzvah slate each and every weekend. The young Benny Steve was out there hitting it.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
They practice in a public park. And Ferrall and Lodge said, no, they have a little facility, but it's open to the public. No, it's a public park. Like, it basically, like, there's like kids playing basketball. Like,
yeah,
no, it's bad. I looked, I'm like, dear God. Like, I thought, I'm like, man, I bet a lot of money on these guys. I can't believe this is where they practice. Like, yeah.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Scrounge out a couple of quarters from under the couch to go trade for somebody who actually makes some money. I don't think that he would actually do that. That's not in Hal's style the last couple of years, especially in season. I saw they signed that Heimer Candelario, who the Reds released. That's more their style, going the discount aisle as opposed to trading for someone who's actually having a huge year like Suarez.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Would be looking to get him in dynasty or keeper leagues. If I'm out of a league and I'm looking to rebuild for the next years ahead, that's where I'm looking. Yuri Perez is a special young pitcher that we're going to be talking about in that Paul Skeens, in that Tariq Skubal, in that grouping of guys. I think he can be that good. He's only 22 years old. He's the boy. So you're getting a situation here where Yuri Perez eventually is going to grow into that man of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.